Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Premiere Pro, where you'll learn everything you need to know to go from a 100% beginner to a professional level video editor. We'll release at least one new tutorial every week, and if there's anything you'd like to see covered in the future, let me know in the comments. So now this is invisible, so we can see what's under here.
3 or 4 years old and got into T-ball like 4 or 5 years old, so started up really young.
Now we have another spot there where there's kind of some music hanging and nothing much, so you know the drill. I cut it, and we actually kind of missed it there, so I'll hit undo. Undo is your friend. Command Z or Apple Z. Undo. We're going to cut each section here. We're going to press V for our arrow tool again. Press G for gain. Press N10. After you'll start getting quick at this because you'll do the same repetitive sequence and you'll start to get really quick. Press enter. And then we know we're going to need our dissolve, our audio dissolve, our crossfade. I always say audio dissolve, it's a crossfade, but it's, you know, the same concept. Make that a little smaller. And let's see and hear what that sounds like.
Really young. I've been very blessed to have a...
So again, that felt like that stepped on him. So we'll press the letter N, press and hold, go to the left.
I've been very blessed to have a family that...
Now, if you listen, if I solo his track, it kind of sounded very like almost like a hard click when he came in.
I've been very...
See that? It was very abrupt.
I've been very...
So we can fix that. Same thing. We're going to drag this here. And it only takes about 1 or 2 frames. So let's zoom in so we can see this really well. Go right here. We're just going to drag this. I use even 1 frame usually will do it. Just so it's not such a hard transition.
I've been very blessed.
See that? So much better.
I've been very blessed to have...
And with music, we're good.
Really young.
I'm actually going to make this one a little more gradual. Let's see how that sounds.
Started up really young.
And I think I may just move that back a little bit. So we'll use our edit tool. Because if you look, he actually kind of stops talking here. This goes flat. So we don't want it to hang too long without changing.
So started up really young.
There we go. That's better.
I've been very blessed to have a family that's so supportive. You know, my brother played in college and he was close to home, so we got to go.
So let's just look at this sequence again.
I've been very blessed to have a family that's so supportive. You know, my brother played in college.
So that was paced pretty well because on family, we see family, right on the word family.
Very blessed to have a family that's so supportive.
And brother.
You know, my brother played in...
Let's see.
My brother played in college.
So right when he says brother.
He was close to home, so we got to go watch his games all the time. And growing up, we were always at the ballpark all the time. So it was every level I've played at, my family's been right there with me. They'll be out here in a couple weeks to watch me play. So they really enjoy baseball and love watching me do what I love. After
Now here's the thing here. This is a little piece without speaking, but it's so short. We're not going to have time to come up and down. That's going to be more abrupt. So we can just let this live.
Baseball and love watching me do what I love. After my junior year, I started pitching only and focusing on that, and been doing that ever since. My college pitching coach, Clint Chrysler, we're still very close. We talk a lot, but honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here today. He really taught me a lot. He played minor league baseball for a long time and really got me headed in the right direction and got my foot in the door. And luckily, I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, you know, help.
So it's feeling pretty good right now. It's got a little energy. It's got a little pace, but look at this. This music is ending, and we also have a little break here. And that is usually a good time during a B-roll piece or a music change, because that changes the energy, and your ears get fatigued after about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes on the same music. You need to change it up, keep it moving so it doesn't feel so long. So let's, we kind of lined it up, but let's see how this sounds.
Just me keep getting better.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. We may have timed that out before we recorded the video, but you know, we want to keep this from being too long. But the point is you want to find a nice transition point at the end of your song to bring in another track. And a good transition point is when he talks about a new subject. So the whole time he's talking about him, his family growing up, his brother, his father, his coach. And all of a sudden he's talking about Chipper Jones. He's talking about the Braves. That's kind of a change of the subject a little bit, somewhat. That's a nice place for a music change, and it just keeps the story moving. It keeps the energy up. So let's see what it looks like from this point on.
Just me keep getting better.
Now, the one thing I noticed, maybe that end music, even though it's low, might trail a little too long. So our best friend here, Constant Power, I'm just going to call it an audio dissolve no matter what, but we're going to expand that, and let's just kind of collapse this a little because we want this to fade. So when this hits, we hear this and this isn't still lingering. So let's get a listen to how that sounds.
Help just me keep getting better.
There you go. And maybe I'll give that a little fade up as well, just to be a nice, smooth transition. Sometimes you miss, it happens. So we'll do it again.
Just me keep getting better.
See that? Now we have a transition.
Chipper Jones always been my favorite player.
Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to hit that click to Chipper Jones on the music hit. So
Chipper,
right there, right about there. Zoom in. See that little peak right there? So what we can do is we can highlight this whole sequence, move it back a little, and then we're just going to drag this and expand it out because I'd like it to do a nice little cut right there. Turn the music up. If we listen to that.
Getting better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player.
Let's listen to that again.
Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think my brother, it was his.
And there's one more kind of little small hit there. Let's just get that next cut.
Chipper Jones always been my favorite player.
Right there. See that? How there's that emptiness and then right there. So we're going to highlight these again, drag them over here. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Just me keep getting better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think my brother, it was his favorite player first.
And then I'd like finally to hit that last big hit. And then from there, I think we're good. But see how that kind of paces it. It moves it along. It gives it an energy and it just kind of locks in. So let's find that hit.
Brother, it was his favorite player.
Right there. That nice peak right there. So sometimes from here, the peak will be between changes. So let's see which one sounds better.
First.
Usually if it's between, I like to do the one before. So let's try that. So we're going to highlight these over to the playhead. That's kind of marking where our hit is. And then we still have to cover that. So we're just going to highlight these last two, drag them out. And let's see what this sequence is looking like. Let's go from a little farther back.
Probably wouldn't be here today. He really taught me a lot. He played minor league baseball for a long time and really taught me, got me headed in the right direction and got my foot in the door. And luckily I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think.
Now I feel like the music
keep getting better.
I feel like I want to time that better with this shot. So let's take a look and see where we think we want the shot to come in. And I think maybe a transition as well.
Just me keep getting better.
What I'd like to see, I'd like to see this fade here. Because again, we're pacing it. We're telling a story. We're doing a music change. We're kind of moving the story along. Why don't we fade this out? And this is really just coming to me at the moment. I didn't plan this, but this is just what I'm seeing. Let's fade this up. So as the music and the theme ends, he fades out, right? It makes sense. And as the new music and the new theme comes in, he fades up. And this doesn't even come in till here. So I'm using up and down to snap to different points, beginnings and ends. Basically, I have to make sure this is highlighted so it sees this, because I was trying to snap and I didn't. But now that I've highlighted these tracks, look what happens. And now I can snap there. So if that ever happens, that is the way you fix it. So let's try right at the beginning of that music. Let's just collapse this back so that time's out. And then let's We're going to unlink. So you're going to right click, unlink. So I can just manipulate the top, just the clip, not the audio. And I'm just going to drag this here and I'm going to create a nice kind of a manual dip to black, right? Now let's see how this paces. So let's go from here.
I wouldn't be here today. He really taught me a lot. He played minor league baseball for a long time and really got me headed in the right direction and got my foot in the door. And luckily I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, I'd like to start that dissolve a little sooner so we actually can collapse this back. And I'd like to be a little more subtle, so we're going to make it longer. So we're going to expand that. And then I think we'll be pretty good. Let's see.
Luckily, I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
So the last thing is I still feel like this music lingers too much over this new music. So we're literally just going to move this back about halfway. Halfway, right there. Maybe we'll shorten that so it doesn't take as long, because we want that to really be out by the time we're into our next theme. Let's see what that looks like.
Luckily, I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
Now, here's the thing. Don't be afraid. A lot of editors are afraid to have any silence in their timeline at all. But sometimes that's a way to kind of break up a moment and go to a new moment. So I'm just going to drag this completely over. I'm going to let one fade and let the other come in. And let's see and hear how that sounds.
Right direction and got my foot in the door. And luckily I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
There we go. All right, so I'll do two things. I want to drag this slightly because I feel like the phrase of the music still ended abruptly, and then we're going to make this longer so it gradually fades out. And let's listen. I think we should be pretty close here.
Direction and got my foot in the door, and luckily I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
There you go. Now we have a nice transition in time, place, feel, rhythm, all of that good stuff. Let's watch it one more time. Go back a little farther.
Luckily, I've had a lot of great coaches since then to, help just me keep getting better.
That felt good.
Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think
so now my brother is
his favorite player first, and I always wanted to do everything that he.
Now let's solo this. It felt a little loud. Let's just highlight both of these clips. Press G for gain. And we're going to go -2. Just bring them down a little bit. And we're going to mix this later, but this is just to be close.
The Braves are on.
Back to the beginning.
Keep getting better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think my brother, it was his favorite player first, and I always wanted to do everything that he wanted to do. So growing up, the Braves were on TBS a lot growing up, so I was able to.
So we have another hit pretty close to our cut, so we might as well just find that because we've got some nice pacing going here. So we're going to find that musical hit.
That he wanted to do, so growing up.
Right there. So we're going to highlight. So we're going to highlight these. Press N. Press and hold. And we're going to do that rolling edit, and then now that last hit.
Wanted to do so. Growing up, the Braves were on TBS a lot growing up, so I was able to watch.
There you go. Let's see what that whole sequence looks like.
Better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think my brother, it was his favorite player first, and I always wanted to do everything that he wanted to do. So growing up, the Braves were on TBS a lot growing up, so I was able to watch a lot of their games. And I played shortstop, I played third base, so I always wanted to be like.
So let's look here. So
we'll watch a lot of their games, and I played.
Okay, so that was interesting. You see how now this is a clip that we got. We didn't do this cut. But this clip cuts right about here, only goes a few frames, and then we're back on camera. That feels very abrupt. So let's look at fixing that. So what I like to do is just go to the last frame, right? I'm going to use my arrow key. I will highlight the clip. And these are, remember, this is the top layer and the bottom blurred. So they're together. We got to keep them together. Highlight the clip, collapse it back. So we know it's not going to cut. I'll slide this forward. And then I'll take this end, which in theory should be good. That actually has a transition too.
It's a lot growing up. So
we kind of have an issue there. But what we can do is we can slide this back a little more because there's a lot of room there. And then let's take this a little sooner. Let's see what that looks like. And we'll collapse this as well to match. This should look better.
TBS a lot growing up, so was able to watch a lot of their games, and
And if we look,
a lot growing up, so was able to.
Now here's what I want to do. Again, I'm seeing this in the moment. That little fist bump was very close to our musical hit. If it hit it, that would be nice. So let's see if we can do that.
Growing up, so
very close. I think if we go back those 3 frames, right? Now this is an excellent point. We can line this up now because we're already on the frame where the music hit happens. We just need to change where the hit happens. So if we move this a little forward, basically those same few frames, that's going to hit together. So let's collapse this so we have room because we want them to get to 3 frames later sooner. So if you press Command and hold with those clips highlighted and press back arrow, 1, 2, 3. And look what happens, folks. So we're going to re-expand this. We just needed the breathing room. And now it's going to hit.
Growing up, so was able to watch.
See that?
Growing up, so was able to watch.
And this is what pacing your edit is. And at the end of the day, this makes it a lot more solid and cohesive of an edit and entertaining. So let's kind of come back to the beginning of this sequence and see now how this feels with what we did. And again, we placed this, and that's why we call it an assembly the first time, because we're assembling it. Now we're really like honing it. So this is basically the same thing we had. We're just slightly tweaking it to match our pacing and our music. So let's take a look.
Keep getting better. Chipper Jones always been my favorite player. I think my brother, it was his favorite player first, and I always wanted to do everything that he wanted to do. So growing up, the Braves were on TBS a lot growing up, so was able to watch a lot of their games, and I played shortstop, I played third base.
Now, most people that watch this, especially people that are not video editors, they're never consciously going to notice
TBS a lot growing up, so
that fist bump hit. It doesn't matter. They're going to feel it. There's a feeling of a pace when you watch something on TV and you just say, I don't know, it just looks really professional. What you're doing is you don't know how to articulate it, but all these little points we're talking about, they're hitting all of them. They're firing on all cylinders. And when you fire on all cylinders, that's when this stuff comes together. And that's why we do it, because that's what makes something feel organic and cohesive and have energy. So it doesn't matter. They don't have to know why you're doing it or what you're doing. It's just that your audience will know this just feels really good. This really seems professional. And this really is a nicely paced piece. So let's keep going. We're almost done here.
Braves were on TBS a lot growing up, so was able to watch a lot of their games, and I played shortstop, I played third base, so I always wanted to be like Chipper Jones and loved watching him play. He was just an incredible player. So he's been my favorite for a long time.
Okay, so let's try to pace some of these end hits with this B-roll here. Remember those couple of shots we were keeping in our back pocket? We'll see if we need to use them.
He's been my favorite for a long time.
So we have a hit right there. Why don't we take that next shot because it was already in sequence. We'll move it there.
He's been my favorite for a long time.
So let's take that next kind of downbeat. Right there. And let's find our shots. Let's move them over so they are there in our back pocket. Let's just take a look at, let's just move it up here. At the very least, we'll mark the spot. Collapse this so we know where that is if we have to move it. So that shot kind of makes sense in succession, right? Because now we're kind of coming in. Let's see the next shot. Okay. And I believe that looks a little big because, and this one does too, because these are actually 4K clips in the 2K timeline. So this is a good point too. If you have 4K and you need it 2K, that's 50%. So you go to scale, press 50, and like magic, there you go, fits your frame. It's the same here, because these were newly dragged in. So instead of me having to do that again here, I can right click, copy, highlight these, right click, paste attributes, motion. Want to make sure motion is checked. Okay. And it's gonna, you always want to make sure your clips are the correct scale. So let's find that next hit. And then I think this one makes more sense, and then we'll go to the other one. Okay. So now we need that last clip, because we kind of move stuff around. You know, we're kind of blowing stuff up and putting it back together. We want that last big hit. You can see the waveform there, right there. Move this here, and no problem. We can just expand this out a little bit. Expand this out, and let's see the sequence.
So, yeah, he's been my favorite for a long time.
I feel like, let's try that again. That was a little off, maybe. It's a little bit late. It technically cut on there, but when you watch it, okay, that wasn't too bad. Sometimes you have to look at it a couple times. It's not too bad at all. So if you remember, when we first started cutting this, we said we want to leave spaces for B-roll and music and other things. So even though it seemed a little weird in the beginning, like, oh, there's just these shots and nothing going on, now we're doing something story, like we're telling a story with it. So let's see how this wraps up.
Yeah, he's been my favorite for a long time.
And he sounded just low there, so we're going to highlight that clip, G. Let's go up 4 dB. Enter. Just so we're not getting drowned out. We're going to mix it later, but this is just for reference.
Yeah, it's a lot growing up, so I was able to watch a lot of their games, and, you know, I played shortstop, I played third base, so I, you know, always wanted to be like Chipper Jones and loved watching him play. He was just an incredible player, so, yeah, he's been my favorite for a long time. Crazy atmosphere here. The fans are into the games from the start to the finish, and it makes it a lot of fun to come to the ballpark and, you know, and do what we love.
So the last pacing edit I want to do,
and, you know, and do what we love.
It's this last hit right there. Right there. So another thing we can do, we can use it instead of moving this and expanding, we can use the rolling edit tool. So N, and let's see how that sounds. There we go. And then that music ends, and that's a nice place for a dissolve. So we're going to collapse this back, grab our cross dissolve. I'm going to make that longer. I like a nice slow fade at the end a lot of the times. So let's watch this kind of last 30 seconds or so.
Play. He was just an incredible player, so yeah, he's been my favorite for a long time. It's a crazy atmosphere here. The fans are into the games from the start to the finish, and it makes it a lot of fun to come to the ballpark and, you know, and do what we love.
And again, we are going from night inside the park to day outside. So maybe that's a nice little dip to, let's do white because it goes to a brighter scene. Yeah, there's a reason. I'm doing white specifically because it's going to a brighter scene. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. There we go. That is a nice pacing for that edit. So at this point, you would be ready to send this off to the client. If you don't accidentally push the wrong button. So you're now ready to present this to your client. So what we would do is we would export this video, which we'll go over in the next, we're going to go over in the next video, how to really export this and make sure you're in the proper codec, encoding this properly. And another important point, you want to make sure that you are not necessarily editing the full res video, or I'm sorry, exporting the full res video for a review, because those are larger files. And a lot of times you're using some kind of file sharing service or some kind of data storage, and it's going to take up a lot of room for something that's not going to be the final. So for review, a lower quality edit or a low quality export is fine. It's your finals that you want to make sure you fully encode into your higher resolution. So basically in the next video, we're going to get into doing that, putting the final polish on the edit, mixing the audio. Basically at this point, you're going to send this to the client. You would be getting some changes and reviews from them, some things they may like to see. So we're going to kind of go over all those things, and then we will do our final export for delivery. For more Premiere Pro tutorials, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure to ring the notification bell. And as soon as the next volume is uploaded, you'll find the link in the description.